Most people never fail from lack of talent. They simply stop showing up too early, and that's where dreams quietly disappear. Someone joins a gym feeling excited. They train hard for 2 weeks, then slowly stop showing up again. Someone starts learning an important skill. They practice daily for 1 month, then disappear before progress becomes visible. Others start YouTube channels enthusiastically, upload several videos full of hope, then quit before momentum finally arrives. The difference isn't usually intelligence levels, and it rarely comes from luck. It often comes from consistency alone. Consistency sounds simple in theory, yet most people struggle maintaining it, even when goals truly matter deeply. So why does consistency feel difficult? Why do good intentions disappear quickly? And why do routines collapse repeatedly? The answer begins inside your brain. Brains love comfort and quick rewards. Long-term goals feel less exciting. Scrolling social media feels effortless today. Studying often feels mentally exhausting. Fast food feels easier than cooking. Your brain constantly seeks instant dopamine. It prefers pleasure happening right now, rather than rewards arriving months later. Consistency works completely opposite to this. Results usually arrive much later, and that's where people become impatient. Nobody becomes fit after one workout. Nobody becomes confident in one day. Nobody builds success within 1 week. The brain misunderstands delayed progress badly. Effort starts feeling completely meaningless, even while growth quietly continues underneath. This stage is called invisible progress. Improvement happens before visible evidence appears, and most people quit right there. Understanding this changes everything completely. Consistency isn't really about motivation. It's learning how to continue anyway. Let's talk about motivation honestly now. Most people trust motivation too much, and that's usually a huge mistake. Motivation feels amazing for short periods, but it changes almost every day. Just like weather changes unexpectedly. Some mornings you feel unstoppable. Other mornings everything feels exhausting. Even simple tasks become difficult. Sleep quality affects your motivation. Stress levels affect your motivation. Even hormones influence your motivation. If success depends on motivation alone, progress eventually becomes unstable and fragile, because motivation cannot stay forever. Think about how often you've said, "I'll start next Monday instead," or "I'll wait until feeling ready." That's exactly where many people struggle. They wait for perfect emotional conditions before taking even one action. Highly consistent people think differently. They stop negotiating with themselves completely and simply follow their systems. Average people debate every small task. Should I work out today? Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. That internal debate drains mental energy. Decision fatigue slowly starts building, and action becomes increasingly unlikely. Consistent people remove unnecessary decisions. They make important actions automatic, like brushing teeth every morning. Tasks stop feeling like emotional choices and start feeling completely normal instead. That's when consistency becomes easier. Habits work better when scheduled, rather than remaining optional every day. Schedules remove unnecessary mental friction. Your brain loves predictable patterns greatly. Less debating means more action happening, and more action creates momentum, and that leads us forward. Because discipline isn't the real answer, systems quietly change everything instead. Most people misunderstand discipline completely. They imagine forcing themselves forever. But consistency rarely works that way. Real consistency usually comes from systems. Systems quietly remove unnecessary friction and make good actions feel easier. Think about someone wanting regular workouts. Every session requires planning beforehand, and starting begins feeling exhausting. Now imagine everything already prepared. Workout clothes wait beside the bed. Gym time appears scheduled on calendar. Suddenly resistance becomes much smaller. Starting feels significantly less stressful, and consistency grows naturally over time. The same principle applies everywhere. Reading habits follow similar patterns. Healthy eating follows similar patterns. Want to read books consistently? Keep books visible every single day. Hidden books rarely get opened. Want to reduce screen time? Remove distracting apps from sight. Make distractions harder to access. Trying to eat much healthier. Stop bringing junk food home. Environment influences behavior constantly. Want to wake up earlier? Then protect your bedtime routine. Late night sabotage morning goals. People chase magical productivity hacks endlessly, yet ignore obvious environmental problems and wonder why progress disappears. Your environment shapes behavior strongly, often much stronger than motivation, even stronger than temporary discipline. The smartest discipline feels invisible. It reduces the need for discipline and makes success easier automatically. Successful people don't fight constantly. They simply build better systems. Then trust those systems daily, and this leads somewhere powerful. Consistency changes deeply through identity, because identity shapes actions automatically. This is where consistency gets powerful. Most people only chase goals endlessly, but goals rarely change people permanently. People say they want discipline. People say they want productivity. People say they want better habits. But goals alone rarely last long, because goals only describe destinations. Identity decides daily behaviors instead. Instead of saying I want fitness, start saying I train consistently. Become the person you admire. Instead of saying I read more, start saying I am reader. Identity changes internal conversations greatly. At first, this feels unusual, almost like pretending to yourself, but psychology explains why it works. Human beings protect personal identities naturally. Actions slowly follow internal beliefs, even without conscious effort. Healthy people feel uncomfortable overeating. Disciplined people dislike wasting days. Readers naturally choose books often. Identity quietly influences daily decisions, long before motivation even appears, and long after excitement disappears. Unfortunately, people reinforce negative identities too. They repeat harmful labels constantly, without realizing long-term consequences. Eventually, brains accept repeated labels. Those labels start feeling truthful, even when they are inaccurate. That's why changing self-talk matters. New identities need reinforcement daily. Small actions provide supporting evidence. Every completed habit builds confidence. Every promise kept strengthens trust. Self-respect gradually begins growing. Consistency feels less forced eventually. Actions become part of personality, and discipline starts feeling normal. But another mistake hurts consistency. Most people simply start too big and burn out surprisingly fast. This is where most people struggle. They usually begin far too aggressively, and burnout quickly follows behind. People suddenly start extreme diets. They attempt 2-hour workouts immediately, or study 8 hours from day one. For several days, excitement feels incredible. Everything seems completely under control. Then energy levels suddenly collapse. Brains care deeply about sustainability. They prefer habits surviving for years, rather than intensity lasting 1 week. Small habits appear almost insignificant, but they quietly create momentum, and momentum changes everything later. 5 minutes of reading still counts. 10 push-ups still build momentum. One paragraph still creates progress. Small actions reduce mental resistance greatly. Resistance often kills consistency first, before lack of talent ever does. People believe consistency needs intensity, but consistency mostly needs easier starts. Starting remains the hardest part, and another dangerous trap appears. Perfectionism quietly destroys many habits without people even noticing. Many people think perfection matters. If everything isn't perfect today, they believe effort becomes pointless. Miss one workout and quit entirely. Miss one morning and collapse weekly. That's destructive all-or-nothing thinking. Consistency doesn't require perfect behavior. Consistency only requires repeated actions. Even imperfect actions still matter. Short workouts still deserve credit. Reading 2 pages still matters. Studying 10 minutes still counts. The goal is protecting routines. Intensity can increase much later. But habits must stay alive. And now we reach another problem. Modern life attacks consistency constantly, especially through dopamine overload today. Modern life makes consistency much harder, not because people became weaker, but because attention stays under attack. Short videos provide instant stimulation. Notifications constantly interrupt your focus. Entertainment becomes available every second. Brains slowly adapt to overstimulation. Normal tasks begin feeling boring. Deep work starts feeling uncomfortable. Reading suddenly feels painfully slow. Studying begins feeling mentally exhausting. Working toward goals feels harder. This isn't entirely your fault. Dopamine systems adjust automatically. Brains simply follow repeated experiences. Reducing stimulation becomes extremely important. Less scrolling creates healthier focus. Less multitasking protects mental energy. Many people fear feeling bored, but boredom quietly resets attention and restores deeper concentration abilities. Eventually, ordinary tasks feel easier. Books become interesting once again. Focused work stops feeling painful. Consistent people protect attention carefully. Because attention fuels meaningful progress, and progress depends upon focus. Now think about restarting habits. You've probably experienced this already. Almost everyone has done it. New months often create excitement. Huge plans suddenly seem possible. Everything feels different for days. Then real life slowly returns. Stress increases and energy decreases. Motivation quietly disappears once again. The problem isn't personal failure. The problem is fragile systems. Systems break under difficult conditions. Strong routines survive difficult days, even stressful and exhausting periods, because bad days always arrive. And that's where consistency wins, because showing up still matters, even when life feels messy. One simple tool helps consistency greatly, and surprisingly most people ignore it. Visible progress changes human psychology. Brains naturally respond to evidence. Completed habits become visual proof. And proof strengthens future actions. You may not notice changes yet, but completed actions still accumulate, and momentum quietly keeps growing. Visible progress strengthens personal identity. Identity strengthens long-term consistency, and consistency transforms entire lives. Confidence rarely appears before action. Confidence usually follows repeated evidence. Brains trust repeated promises kept. Eventually, self-image begins changing slowly. You stop seeing yourself quitting and start feeling genuinely reliable. That shift affects almost everything. Standards improve without forcing yourself. Decisions become easier over time. Building consistency isn't becoming superhuman. It's creating systems for real life. Systems that survive difficult days. Start smaller than your ego wants. Protect routines instead of perfection. And keep showing up anyway. Imagine your life 1 year later. What changes if you stay consistent? Maybe absolutely everything finally changes.